importance of inhibition versus disinhibition to creativity.
Right.
We're going back and forth a little bit on it. You thought the most important out of the two was actual inhibition.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Can you extrapolate?
Yeah. So again, this is a quiz I sometimes use in talks for audiences is what's more important, to be uninhibited, disinhibited, or inhibited. And what the research literature really shows is if we're looking at the quality that is most reliably associated with creativity, it is the ability to inhibit. And it is even more specifically the ability to inhibit habits. Turns out that a lot of our behavior, even though we may all think we are wild and crazy, unpredictable people, 90% or more is creative. I don't know if your car or your phone has made suggestions to you about where you want to go at a particular time of day. Usually they are right. That's the sad thing, that we're not that well. We're very predictable. That's because there are primitive systems in our brain that are very old evolutionarily, and they try to help us out by programming in and making easy to do certain habitual actions. So we couldn't walk if we didn't have these kinds of systems in place. If you had to think about every motion that's involved in walking, you would fall down immediately and never be able to walk again. So it's important that we have these habits, but it's really the ability to break from those habits that makes for creativity. Like we just a little bit earlier did a little fluency test. And we talked about, name as many animals as you can. So if you say lions and tigers and bears, well, this was what we call the Wizard of Oz effect. And, shows it's a low-hanging fruit being plucked from the cognitive tree to spew out those animals. I did an interview with Stuart Copeland, the drummer from the Police, who's a very wild and innovative guy. First word out of his mouth, lemur. Who says lemur as the first animal that comes to mind? Now, so there's somebody, and now Stuart probably trying to show off, but at the same time, he, was breaking free of the rules, not just trying to comply and, with the task that as it was presented, and have a little fun with it.
And before, and I'll make this point again. Don't you think that there has to be an element of disinhibition, though, right? Like you said. Like we said before, there's a balance, right? Certainly it's not just like disinhibited, let's just have chaos and then hopefully something good will come of it, right? That's probably not the best and most efficient way to go about creating and creativity, because we define creativity as utility and novelty, not just novelty, right? So, but a little disinhibition combined with some inhibition is going to potentially widen that window of creativity at the edge of chaos that we talked about, right? So you're going to get a little bit more chaotic, right? Which might not be a terrible thing.
So I think it's certainly not an all or none phenomenon. And as we were discussing a little bit previously, the brain is built in a sort of a hierarchical way where you've got immediate plans, and then you've got, what's my plan going to be if that doesn't work? My plan B, and then humans have such a lot of frontal lobes that they can have plan C, D, a whole repertoire of plans that may be available. And to be able to break loose from that, same thing can occur perceptually, by the way, is that you can have a particular percept that is constrained by your experience with respect to what's coming in from the environment. So like I see that over there, or I see this right here as a football helmet. However, if I really, try to let myself loose and open it to other interpretations, I could see a gold fruit that something like a watermelon, and
the golden watermelon.
The golden watermelon, which has been sought for eons. That's right. Yeah. Now that it's part of the Big Ten. Sorry. So freeing up the doors of perception in that way may offer an opportunity to explore spaces that have not been done. I mean, one of the most amazing experiments I've seen was done by buddy Adam Green, who's at Georgetown University, and he decided to do a study with transcranial direct current stimulation.
Nice.
It's basically,
I was going to ask you about that too.
You can actually go online and you can, with common household supplies, construct a transcranial direct current stimulator using a 9-volt battery and some wires. I do not recommend it. Let's be clear. Not recommended.
Yeah, we don't recommend it.
But anyhow, so he did it with something he didn't make out of household supplies. He got a somewhat fancier kit.
Okay.
But basically stimulated these regions in the frontal lobes. And after applying that current, he showed that people, when they were doing an analogy problem, they picked more distant analogies. In other words, they were entertaining more creative solutions.
Right.
Now, you could question, by stimulating that area, was it stimulating novel or creative thinking?
Right.
I would suspect probably not. I think probably what it was doing is interfering with certain regions that then disinhibit
Right.
the exploration of these other spaces. So it was removing some of the constraints.
Right.